여러분 안녕하십니까? 2020년 10월 26일 월요일 새벽 3시 10분입니다. 드디어 PGA 투어 조저 챔피언십 최종일이 왔습니다. 지금 연습 그린에서 있는 선수가 필 미켈슨입니다. 자, 두 사람이야 이미 우승권에 탈락했으니까 별로고요. 지금부터 2009년 PGA 선수권 양용훈의 우승 소식을 당시의 기사들을 중심으로 제가 읽어드리겠습니다. 제목은 Woods reaches season's final major with a head of steam. In the weeks before each of the full three major championships, Tiger Woods seemed to have answered the questions about the readiness of his knee and the state of his game. He strode into the Masters, the United States Open, and the British Open, having won his last start, always a positive indicator. But as a predictor of major success, and the winning is the only major of that in Woods' world, those victories were false positives. At the sight of season's final major, the PGA Championship at the Hazeltine National Golf Club, Woods gave a third summary on Tuesday of the past and the prognosis for winning his 15th major that will not cause any celebrations among the rest of the field of 156 competitors. The Masters, where he tied for sixth, I did not putt well, he said, and I didn't finish off the rounds the way I should have. The United States Open, where he also tied for sixth, putted very, very poorly, he said. I hit the ball well enough to win, but certainly did not putt well enough to win. When he missed the cut by one stroke at Thornberry, after a strong win at the Congressional Country Club 2 weeks before, some suggested he should fire his swing coach, Hank Haney, and start revamping everything that has helped him win an average of just over 50% of his events. Woods' take on Thornberry: I had 6 bad holes that cost me a chance of contending on the weekend. As he stands on the precipice of his first season without a major championship since 2004, when he was in the middle of significant swing changes, Woods is approaching the tournament with aplomb. And he should be, because he is on an unparalleled run of consistent excellence. Woods has won 22 of the 40 events in which he has played since the 2006 British Open. These are not the kind of numbers one generally think of in golf. A little more than 1 year removed from a reconstruction of the interior cruciate ligament in his left knee, Woods has won 5 times. No other player on the PGA Tour has more than 2 wins. In his past 21 events, he has 20 top 10 finishes. In the past 2 weeks, he has won the Buick Open and the WGC Bridgestone Invitational. I am very proud of not only winning the golf tournaments, but of how consistent I've played, Woods said. For me, to come back and play as well as I've done and actually win golf events, to say at the beginning of the year when I was feeling the way I was, to be honest with you, I don't think any of us would have thought I could have won this many events this year. More than any golfer and most athletes, Tiger Woods has lived his life under the microscope. His game, his family, his statements, his silence, all have been scrutinized, analyzed, and dissected. The latest example came last week when he questions the timing of an official's warning late in the final round of the Bridgestone Invitational that Woods and his fellow competitor Patrick Harrington were being timed for slow play. Woods said the warning by the European Tour official John Paramore on the 16th hole was a factor in Harrington's triple bogey 8, which knocked Harrington out of a one-stroke lead and helped Woods win the tournament. That certainly affected how Paddy played the hole and the outcome of the tournament, Woods said. He was in control of the event. He was one up with the 3 holes to go, and he had a par 5. And when you were put on the clock, it certainly changed everything. Woods denied the reporter Monday that he had been fined by the PGA Tour for criticizing the official, and then refused to back down from his statement. If anything, he made a stronger case that the warning was ill-timed and reiterated his statement. For most pros, it would be at least somewhat upsetting to have to deal with the golf's version of a controversy while trying to prepare for a major at a course like Hazeltine, which has been beefed up to 76-74 yards. But Woods did not blink and sounded as ready to put on a show as at any time this year. I feel as if I feel as if I made some pretty good strides since the British Open, he said. I had some nice practice session before the Buick, and especially on Monday and Tuesday after the Buick. I really had some good work down there. I think it was evident the way I was hitting the golf ball last week. I really hit it good last week, and hopefully I can improve on that and carry that over into this week. This is as close as Woods comes to saying he likes his chances. Stuart Sink actually said it for him. I'd say he's got a pretty good chance, Sink said, smiling. Probably better than anybody else in the field. How is that for an answer? I mean, the guy, he's driving it pretty well. He's got a short game that history has never known. He's got the clutch putting that history has never known. And he's got the ultimate tank of confidence to draw from. So, case closed. Notebook. Faldo says only Woods can beat the Woods. At least one CBS TV commentator says Tiger Woods will make his PGA Championship his 15th major championship victory. Nick Faldo said on a conference call this week that he thought that unless Woods self-destructs, he would be hoisting the Wanamaker Trophy at the Hazeltine come Sunday. All the fellows wanna stop him, Faldo said, but this one looks like the only person who can beat Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods. It is really as simple as that, I feel. Peter Costis, the noted golf instructor who doubles as an on-course analyst for CBS, did not go so far as to pick Woods, but predicted Hazeltine could be the most compelling major in a year, when 59-year-old Tom Watson nearly won the British Open. We've had 3 majors this year that, while having compelling stories, could have been phenomenal stories if the outcomes had been just a little different, Costi said on the same teleconference. Emailman withdraws. What would have been the strongest field in the history of the event, which is generally regarded as having the strongest field of the 4 major championships, lost one of the top 100 players when Trevor Immelman withdrew with a wrist injury. It has plagued him all year and may require surgery. With the loss of Immelman, the 2008 Masters champion, the field has 98 of the top 100 players in the world, matching the record total from the 2002 PGA Championship contested at the Hazeltine National Golf Club. Not old enough to shave. The oldest and youngest competitor in the 91st PGA Championship, Ryo Ishikawa, 17, is not only the youngest player in the field this week, he is the youngest ever to compete in the PGA Championship. The club professional Chris Starjohan of Cardiff by the Sea, California, is the oldest competitor this year. He is 53. Olympics on the horizon. Tiger Woods and Patrick Harrington reacted enthusiastically to the possibility of playing golf in the 2016 Olympics. The International Olympic Committee's executive board is expected to recommend adding two sports on Thursday when it meets in Berlin. Golf and rugby sevens are reported among the leading choices. Woods said he would play in 2016 when he will be 40. Golf and rugby seven are reported among the leading choices. Woods said he would play in 2016 when he will be 40. If I'm not retired by then, yeah, he said with a smile. And Harrington offered two thumbs up when asked about playing in the Olympics. I'd love to be an Olympian, the 37-year-old Harrington said. Doesn't that sound good? Imagine us being Olympic athletes. I think it would be fantastic for golf. Golf has not been contested at the Olympics for more than 100 years. Competitions were held in 1900 in Paris for individual men and women, and in 1904 in St. Louis for men, individual and team. I think that golf is a truly global sport, and I think it should have been in the Olympics a while ago, Woods said. If it does get in, I think it will be great for golf, and especially some of the smaller countries that are now emerging in golf. PGA Championship. Winds begin to blow on second day at PGA. As gusty winds blew across the steamy Hazeltine National Golf Club, the second round of the PGA Championship started to turn into a surviving contest, with Tiger Woods, Ross Fisher making the most of it. Fisher seemed to level in to enjoy something very much, the conditions, moving into contention with a 6 birdie, 1 bogey round to leave him at -4, one behind Woods, the first round leader, who retained his first round lead by shooting even par for the day 13 holes. 4 players, the two-time PGA champion Vijay Singh, the United States Open winner Lucas Glover, Brendan Jones, and Lee Westwood were tied at -3, with only Westwood still on the course. Singh, 46, is trying to become the second oldest player to win a major. Patrick Harrington, one of Woods' playing partners, bogeyed numbers 11 through 13 to fall 3 shots behind Woods at the -2. The early holes Friday were anything but fun for Fu Woods, a 4-time winner of this tournament. On number 1, Woods drove into the right rough, left his approach short of the green, and missed an 8-foot par-saving putt on the left to fall into a tie with Harrington. Woods found the rough off the tee again on number 2 and drove into a bunker on number 4, but salvaged the par both times. Meanwhile, Graham McDowell of Northern Ireland birdied two of his last five holes, and Alvaro Quiros, the long-hitting Spaniard, birdied the par 4 number 2 to move into a four-way tie for the lead. Quiros and McDowell both slipped back with the bogeys, Quiros on numbers 4 and 7, and McDowell on numbers 16 and 18. He started on the back nine, before Woods edged 2 strokes ahead with consecutive birdies on numbers 6 and 7. The weather conditions made Hazeltine play tougher than it did Thursday, when 43 players broke par 28 in the morning, thanks in part to dew-softened greens and the fairways and light winds. As Woods, Harrington, and Richmond played the front nine Friday, temperatures approached 90 degrees, while a 60-mile-an-hour wind from the southwest snapped flags all over the course. Those were not good signs for anyone hoping to move significantly up the leaderboard. None of the morning starters finished 36 holes better than 3 under par. One was Singh, who is trying to avoid his first winless season on the PGA Tour since 2001. Both Singh 72 and Glover 70 reached -4 before finishing with the bogeys on number 9, their final holes. Brandon Jones eagled number 4. Brandon Jones eagled the par 4 number 14, playing 299 yards downwind instead of the listed 352 for a 70 to join them at 3 under. If the wind stays up, it's going to get tougher, Glover said. It's already tough. It's hard to get the ball close. Singh, who has won more PGA tournaments after turning 40 than any golfer in history, 22 out of 34 career victories, is making a comeback at the time when some golfers his age are counting the days until their Champions Tour eligibility. Now the Champions Tour is changed into PGA Tour Champions Tour. Last December, Singh tore the lateral meniscus in his right knee while winning the World Challenge Woods tournament. He underwent surgery in January. The injury brought a painful end to a spectacular year in which Singh won 3 tournaments and $6.6 million, plus another $10 million for winning the FedEx Cup. Returning to the PGA Tour in February, after about a month off, Singh's best finish this season has been a tie for 6th at the Crowne Plaza Invitational in late May. He struggled with his putting, going back to a long putter for a while before sticking a short putter at his back this week. No player has won one of golf's major championships, the majors, the Masters, the United States Open, British Open, or PGA Championship using a long putter. British Open, Singh used conventional putters in his PGA Championship victories at the Sahalee Country Club in 1998 and Whistling Straits in 2004. Still, just in case, he packed his long putter too. That's in the locker, he said. It's not too far away. With a victory this week, Singh would become the second oldest player to win a major. Julius Boros won the 1968 PGA Championship at 48. Singh, who turned 46 last February 22, is about 4 months older than Jack Nicklaus was when Nicklaus won the 1986 Masters. Old Tom Morris, the 1867 British Open champion, is the only other major winner at the age of 46 or older. David Toms, the only other player at the 3 under or better who played Friday morning, shot 75 and ended up even for the tournament. Toms played in a group with Phil Mickelson and Paul Azinger. Mickelson shot a second consecutive 74 with 5 bogeys against 3 birdies. At the 4 over par, he is in danger of missing the cut. PGA Championship. Woods in a winning position with a long weekend to go. When it seemed that the hot winds and some charging challengers would knock Tiger Woods, the overnight leader, off the top of the PGA Championship leaderboard on Friday, Woods turned up the heat, his pursuers melted, and he increased his lead, offsetting 3 bogeys with 5 birdies for a 2 under par 70 and a 7 under par total of 137. Woods finished the day 4 strokes clear of 5 golfers tied for second at 3 under par, including Patrick Harrington. Woods 36 holes away from his 15th major championship victory and his 5th PGA Championship title was caught twice during the blustery afternoon at Hazeltine National Golf Club. But if history is a benchmark, which it usually is in Woods' case, he will not be caught this weekend. He is 8-0 in major championships in which he has held the 36-hole lead. All the times that I've been in this position, I have played well, Woods said. And I'm playing well now, so it's just a matter of continuing what I've been doing this week. I'm very pleased at my execution today, especially in the wind. Some of the shots I hit today, I'm very pleased about that. Harrington, who shot 73, also made some spectacular shots, but the bogeys his way out of a chance to play a 4th straight round with the Woods when he missed a 4-footer at the 18th hole. That opportunity went to Vijay Singh, the 36-year-old Fijian, who shot 72 and posted the first 3 under par total of the day. Also at 3 under were the United States Open champion Lucas Glover, who shot 70, the Australian Brendan Jones, who shot 70, and England Ross Fisher, who shot 68. After dropping into a tie with Harrington on the front line, with a bogey at the first hole, Woods said he knew the day would be difficult. He had hammered a cut-through wood down the left side of the fairway, and it was blown into the left rough by the 25-mile-per-hour crosswinds. Just had to stay patient out there. He said, I was amazed that even though I cut it down the left middle of the fairway, it ended up in the left rough. It was actually blowing harder than I thought. Once Woods calibrated for the wind, he rode on it. He birdied the 415 par 4 6th hole with a 3-iron and a 147-yard pitching wedge, and the 572-yard par 5 7th hole with a driver, a 7-iron, and 2 putts from 45 feet. That put him at 6 under in control until he bogeyed the 10th after a poor iron shot. Harrington, who had birdied the 4th and 9th holes, then fell into a tie with Woods for the second time, both at 5 under. It was tough, Harrington exclaimed, his voice rising to a high pitch. I suppose it was a bit of a struggle. Obviously, we knew today was going to be a difficult day. You have to have your wits about you. For the most part, Harrington kept his wits about him even after bogeying 3 holes in a row, the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. While that was going on, Fisher was birdieing the 16th, the picturesque but dangerous par 4 down by Lake Hazeltine to reach 5 under and a tie with Woods. Woods then dropped the hammer with the birdies at the 14th, the 15th, and the 16th holes. Fisher went south with a bogey at the 17th and the 18th. Harrington rebounded from his 3 straight bogeys with a birdie at the 14th and an astounding birdie at the par 5 642-yard 15th that included a 301-yard second shot with a 3-wood from the slope of a bunker with both feet in the sand and the ball on the grassy bank. That's one of the best shots I've ever seen, Woods said. He hit it flush out of a bunker uphill lie where you can't use your legs to get any power. The chance of slipping is there, but you still hit it flush enough to carry it that far. It was a pretty impressive shot and definitely worth the price of admission. Harrington was amused by Wood's evaluation of his effort. He did say to me that he would have paid to have seen it, Harrington said, smiling. Did he tell you that? So I asked him for $50. So Harrington and anyone else with the designs on catching Woods will have to bring all the shots they have and find some they do not have. These are the situations in which Woods has made his career. Leading at the halfway mark, he is 32-6 overall. He has won 12 straights when in this position. Moreover, he is tied for first in greens in hit in regulation this week, hitting 29 of 36. He made the most of the putts he had to make and was oozing confidence. I would go along the lines that it's got to break at some stage, Harrington said. Might as well tell myself that. In fairness to Tiger, that's never going to last forever. Maybe he'll be 60 when it's broken, but it's never going to last forever. Maybe I'll be the guy who does it. I suppose that's the way to look at it. For his part, Glover said he would love nothing more than to play in the final group with Woods on Sunday. He said he enjoyed playing with Woods in the first 2 rounds at the National, which Woods hosts at Congressional Country Club, and was impressed more by something Woods did than the shots he hit. We were walking down number 1. He just turned around and said, "Hey, I didn't tell you, but thanks." Glover said. I said, "For what?" He said, "For coming." That was pretty cool. He didn't have to say that, but he did. Pretty cool. If Woods continues at this pace, he will be able to say the same thing to the field on Sunday. Woods builds a 4-shot lead in the PGA. Tiger Woods watched the last of his 3 straight birdies take one last turn and drop into the cup. Walking toward the hole, he nodded his head and dangled his tongue out of the side of his mouth, a swagger that spoke volumes. He is on top of his game at the PGA Championship, and he knows it. In blustery conditions and on bumpy greens, Woods made key par putts early in his round and big birdies toward the end for a 2 under 70 that gave him a 4-shot lead in the final major of the year. The latest string of birdies came in the final hour Friday at Hazeltine, and it changed everything. The final birdie putt gave this major that look of inevitability with some frightening figures to back it up. Woods is 8-0 in the majors when leading after 36 holes. He has never lost any tournament when leading by 4 shots going into the weekend. Of the top 16 players going into the second round, he was the only player to break par. In order to have a lead in a major championship, you can't be playing poorly, said Woods, who was at 7 under 137. And all the times that I've been in this position, I've played well, and I'm playing well now. Patrick Harrington, who tried to keep pace and hit one shot that Woods called one of the best he had ever seen, was asked after staggering to a 73 whether a four-shot lead was different when it belonged to the world's number one player. What do you think? The Irishman said, grinning. That's self-evident. We are all well aware of his ability to lead in the front. He gets better from the front. I think he likes that position. Woods was 4 shots clear of five players who have their work cut out for them. Vijay Singh 72, US Open champion Lucas Glover 70, and Brandon Jones 70. The Australian whom Woods beat in his return to competition in February at match play, all played in the morning. Harrington and Ross Fisher, who closed with the 2 bogeys for a 68, become the third player to fall out of the lead, had to cope with the fierce conditions of the afternoon. It was Woods' largest 36-hole lead in a major since he led by 5 in the 2005 British Open at St. Andrews. I mean, yes, Tiger is the greatest golfer I think we've ever seen, Fisher said. But at the end of the day, he's just like me and you. He's just a human being. He just happened to be damn good at golf. So you've got to work really, really hard to try and compete with him and catch him. Woods has not lost a 36-hole lead on the PGA Tour in 5 years, dating to the Byron Nelson when he was revamping his swing. He came to Hazleton having won his last 2 tournaments, however, and appears to be hitting his stride. His finishing kick Friday was particularly impressive. He avoided his second bogey in 3 holes with a 12-foot par save at number 12, missed a birdie opportunity to take the lead on the 13th, then poured it on. The tees on the 352-yard 14th hole was moved up, giving players the option of trying to drive the green. At only 299, with the wind in their favor, it wasn't much of a choice. Woods flushed his 3-wood onto the green and just onto the fringe, nearly holding the eagle putt. On the par 5 15th, he hit the 3-wood through the green and chipped to tap-in range to widen the lead. Then came the 16th, and the 20-foot birdie that allowed Woods to seize control as he goes for a record time 5th title at the PGA Championship. His game looked solid again today, Harrington said after playing with Woods for the 3rd straight round, dating to Sunday at the Firestone when Woods overcame a 3-shot deficit to beat him. I think he's in a good position. The reason he's a good front runner is he can pick and choose his shots, and he's not been pushed into shots that he doesn't have to hit. And he's very good at that. Harrington faced one of those shots, and it was a dandy. Trying to get back into the game at the 15th, his ball on a slope in the bunker. Harrington thought the slope would help him reach the green, and he pounded a 3-wood that was perfect. It stopped 15 feet from the cup. Woods called it one of the best shots he had ever seen, worth the price of admission. He did say to me, actually, he would have paid to have seen it, Harrington said, so I asked him for $50. Woods gave nothing to anyone at Hazleton, not even himself. There's a long way to go, he said. Still, it was the first time Woods has opened a major with a consecutive round on the par since the 2006 PGA at Medina. He repaired in the final group Saturday with Singh, one of his many rivals. They have not played together since the opening 2 rounds at the Deutsche Bank Classic in 2007, and not in a major since the first 2 rounds of the 2004 PGA Championship at the Whistling Straits, which Singh won for his 3rd major. Tomorrow, you position yourself, Woods said. You have to make sure you are there and in position. And I know Vijay isn't going to make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't. He's going to be very consistent. A dozen players from 9 countries remained under par going into the weekend. 5 of them major champions. The group included Ernie Els, who rebounded with a 68 despite again missing a half dozen birdie chances inside 8 feet. Woods built his lead with the birdies at the end. Equally important were pars throughout his round. He made back-to-back 6-foot par putts, the latter after hitting into the bunker on the par 3 4th, and regained control with a birdie from 20 feet on the 6th and the chipped 4 feet for birdie on the par 5 7th. Then came the struggle. After a 3-putt bogey from 70 feet on the 10th, he had to scramble for par on the 11th by making a tricky 4-footer, then follow that by going from the right rough through the 18th green, an average chip and a 12-foot putt that felt just as good as some of his birdies. I could have easily shot a couple over par, he said, but I turned it into an under par round. Not so for Phil Mickelson, playing his first major since the US Open while missing most of the summer as his wife and mother battled breast cancer. Lefty again struggled on the greens, particularly the short putts that could have kept his round going. He wound up with a 74 for the 2nd straight day, the first time he has failed to shoot par or better in the opening 2 rounds of the PGA Championship. Only late in the day, as the greens turned bumpy, did he make the cut on the number at 4 over 148. I'm not going to beat many people putting the way I am, Mickelson said. I've got to get this thing turned around. For Woods, he again is headed in the right direction.